The first red flag should have been the receipts from the casino, carelessly stuffed between the pages of his work planner. But love makes you blind, and I had been wearing the thickest pair of rose-colored glasses for the past decade. I'm Helen, and until last Tuesday, I thought I had the perfect marriage. Babe, I'm heading out for a client meeting, Cruz called out, adjusting his tie in our bedroom mirror. Might be a late one, I nodded, focused on the laptop screen where I was reviewing our monthly statements. Something wasn't adding up. Drive safe, I managed, my throat tight as I stared at yet another mysterious withdrawal. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I called my sister. Marley, I need you to come over, now. I'll be there in 15, she said, no questions asked. That's what I loved about her. While waiting, I dug deeper into Cruz's planner. Behind the pristine schedule of business meetings and client calls lay a different story. Betting slips, IOUs, and scribbled numbers that made my stomach churn. Marley arrived with coffee and her signature no-nonsense attitude. Spill, she demanded, settling onto our leather couch, the one Cruz insisted we needed to maintain appearances. I spread the evidence across our coffee table. Look at these withdrawals. 5,000 here, 8,000 there, and these betting slips. My hands trembled as I pointed to the dates. They match perfectly. That son of a bitch, Marley whispered, scanning the documents. How long has this been going on? I don't know, but our savings account. I pulled up the banking app. It's almost empty. He told me he was investing in real estate ventures. Have you confronted him? I shook my head. I'm scared to. You should see him at family dinners, bragging about his latest deals, charming everyone with stories of our future wealth. Even Sebastian, his impossible-to-please father, seems impressed lately. Marley grabbed my hand. Helen, this isn't about impressing family anymore. This is theft. He's stealing your future. My phone buzzed, a text from Cruz. My heart stopped when I saw it. What? Marley asked, noticing my expression. I showed her the message. Hey babe, need you to transfer $50K to my business account. Big opportunity coming up. We'll explain later. Love you. He's going to lose it all, I whispered, reality crashing down around me. Everything we've worked for. Marley's eyes narrowed. Don't transfer a penny. In fact, she pulled out her phone and dialed. Thomas, it's Marley. Remember Helen, my sister? She needs your help, financial advice. It's urgent. I started to protest, but she held up her hand. Listen, Helen, Tomas is the best financial advisor I know, and more importantly, he's discreet. Meeting in an hour? She confirmed, then hung up. Get dressed. We're going to fix this. I can't just... Yes, you can. And you will. Marley stood, pulling me up with her. Cruz isn't the only one who can play this game. The difference is, you're going to play it smart. As I changed clothes, another text came through. This time from an unknown number. Tell Cruz his bet is locked in. No backing out now. My hands shook as I showed Marley. Perfect, she said, her expression hardening. More evidence. Now come on, we're meeting Thomas. In the car, I stared out the window at our suburban neighborhood, where every house looked perfect from the outside. Just like my marriage. You know what the worst part is? I said quietly. Last week at dinner, he was telling Catherine about the vacation house we're supposedly buying. His mother was so excited, already planning family gatherings there. It's all lies. Then it's time to tell the truth, Marley replied, turning onto the highway. But first, we're going to make sure you're protected. My phone buzzed again. Cruz sending a heart emoji, acting like everything was normal. Like he wasn't gambling away our life savings while I sat here, finally seeing clearly for the first time in years. Marley, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. I want to destroy him. She glanced at me, a small smile playing on her lips. That's my girl. And trust me, by the time we're done, he won't know what hit him. I took a deep breath, feeling something shift inside me. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Determination. Cruz thought I was naive, the trusting wife who never questioned his business dealings. He was about to learn just how wrong he was. Tomas's office felt like a sanctuary of calm, all clean lines and soft lighting. He hadn't changed much since our childhood days, still the same thoughtful eyes and measured speech that made everyone trust him instantly. "The first thing we need to do," he said, reviewing the documents I'd brought, "is set up accounts he can't access. Separate everything." "But won't he notice?" I asked, twisting my wedding ring. "Not if we do it right." Tomas pulled up his computer screen. "You said he never checks the detailed statements?" "Never. He just asks me to transfer money when he needs it." Marley snorted. "When he needs to place bets, you mean? Here's what we'll do," Thomas said, typing rapidly. "I'm setting you up with a private trading account. We'll start small, but smart. Cruz won't notice money missing because there won't be any to miss. You'll be investing what's left before he can touch it." Over the next hour, Tomas walked me through the basics of online trading. It was surprisingly straightforward once he explained it. By the time we finished, I had made my first investment. "Remember," he warned, "this isn't about getting rich quick. It's about protecting yourself." My phone rang. Cruz. I let it go to voicemail. "He's probably wondering about that transfer," Marley said. "I should call him back." "No," both Marley and Thomas said simultaneously. "Let him sweat," Marley added. "You're busy with errands." When I finally returned home, Cruz was waiting, pacing the living room. "Where have you been?" he demanded. "I needed that transfer hours ago." I forced my face to remain neutral. "Sorry, honey. I was helping Marley with something. What's this opportunity you mentioned?" His expression shifted instantly, that familiar, charming smile appearing. "Baby, you won't believe it. This development project downtown. Totally exclusive. But we need to move fast." He wrapped his arms around me. "Did you make the transfer?" "I tried, but the app was giving me trouble. Maybe we should discuss it first?" "Helen!" He sighed, pulling away. "Don't you trust me? Haven't I always taken care of us?" I thought about the empty savings account. "Of course I trust you. I just want to understand better." "Look," he said, running his hands through his hair in frustration. "Sometimes in business, you have to move quickly, take risks. You know what my father's like, always watching, waiting for me to fail. I can't let that happen." The mention of Sebastian made me wince. Cruz's father had always been impossibly demanding, but was that really an excuse? "I'll figure something out," Cruz muttered, pulling out his phone. "Maybe I can delay." "No, that won't work." He started typing frantically. I went upstairs to change, using the moment alone to check my new trading app. The small investment I'd made earlier was already showing a modest gain. My hands shook as I thought about what I was doing, but Tomas's words echoed in my head. This isn't about revenge, it's about survival. That night, Cruz was unusually attentive, ordering my favorite takeout and suggesting we watch my preferred shows. I played along, all while my phone silently buzzed with updates from Marley and Thomas. "You know I love you, right?" Cruz said, pulling me close on the couch. "Everything I do for us." I forced myself to smile. "I know." Later, after Cruz fell asleep, I slipped downstairs with my laptop. Following Tomas's instructions, I began moving small amounts into my secret account. Not enough to raise suspicion, but enough to start building my safety net. My phone lit up with a text from Marley. "How are you holding up?" "I feel like I'm living a double life," I replied. "You are. But so is he. The difference is, you're doing it to protect yourself. He's doing it to destroy you both." The next morning, Cruz was back to his confident self. "Baby, I closed an amazing deal yesterday. We're going to be set for life." I nodded, sipping my coffee, while checking my trading app under the table. Another small gain. "We should have the family over soon," he continued. "Show them how well we're doing. Maybe next weekend?" "Sure," I said, thinking of Catherine's excitement about the non-existent vacation house. "Whatever you want." As he left for work, kissing me goodbye like nothing was wrong, I opened my laptop and logged into my secret account. The numbers were small, but they were mine. For the first time in years, I felt a glimmer of real hope. Marley was right. I could play this game too. And unlike Cruz, I was playing for keeps. The family gathering felt like a theater performance, with Cruz as the star and our home as his stage. I watched from the kitchen as he worked the room, champagne glass in hand, spinning tales of his latest investments. "You should see the property portfolio we're building," he announced to the admiring faces. "Helen and I are thinking of starting our own real estate firm." Catherine beamed with pride. "My son, the entrepreneur!" I busied myself arranging appetizers, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. Marley appeared beside me, sliding a glass of wine my way. "How are you holding up?" she whispered. "Barely breathing. Every word out of his mouth is a lie." Sebastian's booming voice carried from the living room. "Cruz, tell them about that development project downtown." My hands froze on the cheese platter. The fictional project he'd tried to get $50,000 for last week. "No, actually, Dad," Cruz said smoothly, "we're keeping that one quiet for now. Very exclusive, you understand." Sebastian nodded knowingly, but something flickered in his eyes. He pulled Cruz aside, their voices dropping to whispers by the window. Allison, Cruz's sister, bounced into the kitchen. "Helen, you're so lucky. Cruz is just amazing. How does it feel being married to such a successful man?" I forced a smile. "Blessed. Could you help me with these plates?" My brother Harold stood alone in the corner, watching Cruz with narrowed eyes. They hadn't spoken since their falling out over a borrowed sum that Cruz never repaid. Now I wondered if that money had gone to gambling debts too. "Ladies and gentlemen," Cruz clinked his glass, "I'd like to make a toast. To family, to success, and to my beautiful wife who supports all my ventures." Everyone raised their glasses. I caught Harold's eye across the room. He didn't drink. "Helen!" Catherine called out. "Tell us about the vacation house. Cruz says it's right on the water?" Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A notification from my trading app. Another successful investment. The irony wasn't lost on me. "It's still in the planning stages," I managed. "Planning stages?" Sebastian's eyebrows rose. "Cruz told me you'd already put down a deposit." Cruz appeared behind me, his hand pressing firmly against my lower back. "We're being careful with the announcements, Dad. Market sensitivity and all that." Sebastian pulled Cruz aside again, their whispered conversation more intense this time. I caught fragments. "Cannot afford another scandal?" And, just like Atlantic City, Marley touched my arm. "Bathroom break?" In the safety of the powder room, I showed her my phone. "My investments have doubled since last week." "That's my girl," she grinned. "How much has Cruz asked for lately?" 3 separate urgent transfers. I keep making excuses. A knock at the door made us jump. "Helen?" It was Catherine. "Dear, is everything all right?" We emerged to find her waiting, concern etched on her face. "You seem distant tonight." "Just tired," I said. "Work's been busy." Back in the living room, Cruz was deep in conversation with Allison about some new business contact who was going to change everything. I watched him gesture enthusiastically, watched everyone lean in, completely captivated by his performance. Harold approached me quietly. "You okay, sis?" "Fine," I said automatically. "Really? Because that vacation house Cruz mentioned? The one on Lake Geneva?" He paused. "I drove by there yesterday. For sale sign's still up. No sold sticker." My heart skipped. "Harold!" "Just be careful," he murmured, squeezing my arm before walking away. The evening wound down with Cruz proposing another toast, this time to future ventures and family unity. Sebastian watched him with an unreadable expression, while Catherine dabbed happy tears from her eyes. As everyone was leaving, Sebastian pulled Cruz aside one final time. "Don't make me regret covering for you again," he said, just loud enough for me to hear. Cruz's face hardened for a split second before his charm slipped back into place. "Dad, trust me, everything's under control." After the last guest left, Cruz loosened his tie and poured another drink. Perfect night, wouldn't you say? Everyone's impressed with our success. I started cleaning up, collecting empty glasses. Sebastian seemed concerned about something. My father's always concerned, Cruz laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. He doesn't understand modern business. Speaking of which, he pulled out his phone. I need you to make another transfer tomorrow. Big opportunity coming up. How big? I asked, thinking of my secret trading account. Just 30,000. Small change compared to what we'll make back. I nodded silently, already composing a message to Tomas in my head. The house of cards Cruz had built was starting to sway, and I needed to be ready when it fell. Something's not adding up, Tomas said, scrolling through the bank statements spread across his desk. These transfers, they're going to shell companies that don't exist. I leaned forward, pointing at a recurring payment. What about this one? $20,000 every month to Summit Ventures? Tomas typed rapidly on his keyboard. Summit Ventures, registered 3 months ago. Wait. His face darkened. The address is a betting shop in Vegas. My stomach lurched. How much has he sent them? In total? Tomas ran the calculations. Over 200,000. The room spun. I gripped the edge of his desk until my knuckles turned white. There's more, he said quietly. Remember that lake house he's been talking about? The one Harold said wasn't sold? It was sold. 2 months ago. Tomas turned his screen toward me. To this couple from Michigan. My phone buzzed, Cruz asking where I was. I ignored it. Helen, Tomas said gently, there's something else you need to see. He pulled up another document. Your house equity loan. It was refinanced last month. What? That's impossible. I never signed anything. Are you sure about that? Look at the signature. The signature looked exactly like mine. My blood ran cold as I remembered the stack of papers Cruz had me sign for tax purposes while I was rushing to work. I'm calling Marley, Tomas said, already dialing. We need to move faster. Marley arrived 20 minutes later, bringing coffee and her laptop. I've been doing some digging too, she said. You remember that weird comment Sebastian made about Atlantic City? She pulled up an old newspaper article. The headline made my heart stop. Local casino reports major fraud attempt. It's from 6 years ago, she explained. No names mentioned, but the dates match when Cruz suddenly left his job at the investment firm. Sebastian covered it up, I whispered. That's what he meant at dinner. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an unknown number. Tell Cruz his payment is late. 48 hours, or we go public. I showed it to Thomas and Marley. Forward that to me, Tomas said. I know someone who can trace it. What am I supposed to do about the 30,000 he wants me to transfer? I asked. Nothing, Marley said firmly. You're not giving him another penny. My phone rang. Cruz again. This time I answered. Where are you? He demanded. I've been calling for hours. At Marley's, I lied smoothly. Girl stuff? Why? I need you home, now. That transfer can't wait. I looked at Thomas and Marley, who were both shaking their heads. I can't right now, I said. Maybe tomorrow. Helen, his voice turned cold. This isn't a request. I need that money today. Is everything okay? I asked, trying to sound concerned. You seem stressed. Everything's fine, he snapped. Just get home and make the transfer. After I hung up, Marley grabbed my shoulders. You can't go home, not when he's like this. I have to, I said. If I don't, he'll know something's wrong. Tomas was still typing. Got it. That transfer to Summit Ventures last week? It bounced. They're probably the ones threatening him. Which means he's desperate, Marley added. My trading app pinged. Another successful investment. In the past few weeks, I'd managed to build a decent nest egg. Not enough to replace what Cruz had lost, but enough to survive on. Stay with me tonight, Marley pleaded. No. I stood up, gathering my things. I need to face him, but first, I turned to Thomas. Show me everything. Every transfer, every fake company, Every lie. I want it all documented. For the next hour, we compiled evidence. Bank statements, property records, threatening texts, everything. Thomas even found photos of Cruz entering various casinos, time-stamped during his supposed business meetings. "What are you going to do?" Marley asked as we finished. "Right now? I'm going home to make excuses about why I can't transfer money. Tomorrow?" I took a deep breath. "Tomorrow, I start planning the family dinner where everything comes out." "Be careful," Tomas warned. "Men like Cruz when they're cornered." "I know," I said, thinking of the cold edge in Cruz's voice earlier. "But I'm done being afraid." As I drove home, my phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. "Time's running out." I smiled grimly. They had no idea how right they were. For Cruz, time wasn't just running out, it was about to explode in his face. And this time, Sebastian wouldn't be able to cover it up. "The annual family dinner is in 3 days," I told Marley as we sat in her kitchen, organizing the evidence into a folder. "It's perfect timing." "Are you sure you want to do it with everyone there?" she asked, sorting through bank statements. "They all need to see the truth at once. No more whispered conversations. No more covering up." My phone lit up with a message from an unfamiliar Instagram account. "Mrs. McCarthy, we have information about your husband you might want to see." I showed Marley. "Click it," she said. "Could be more ammunition." The message contained photos. Cruz entering various casinos, sitting at high-stakes tables, arguing with what looked like loan sharks in parking lots, all dated during his supposed business trips. "Holy shit," Marley whispered. "Who sent these?" "Someone who wants money, probably," I replied, but saved the photos anyway. "Add them to the pile." Cruz had been increasingly erratic since I'd refused the $30,000 transfer. His charm was slipping, revealing something darker underneath. This morning, he'd slammed doors and shouted into his phone about buying more time. My burner phone buzzed. Tomas had insisted I get one. "Meeting at the casino tonight," he texted. "My contact says Cruz is desperate for a big win." "Perfect," I replied. "That's when I'll get his laptop." Marley looked up sharply. "That's risky." "It's necessary. The laptop has all his gambling accounts, all his secrets." The plan was simple. While Cruz was losing more money at the casino, I'd access his laptop using the password I'd seen him type countless times. Tomas would help me download everything. "Catherine called earlier," I told Marley. "She's worried about Cruz, says he's not himself lately." "If she only knew," Marley muttered. My regular phone rang. Cruz. "Hey baby, working late again, don't wait up." "Casino late or actual work late?" I wanted to ask, but instead said, "Okay, be safe." The moment he hung up, I texted Tomas. "He's heading there. I'm going home now." Marley grabbed my arm. "Want me to come?" "No, I need to do this alone, but stay on standby." At home, Cruz's laptop sat on his desk like a ticking bomb. I entered his password, Winner 2023. The irony wasn't lost on me. "I'm in," I texted Tomas. "Check his emails first," he replied. "Look for anything from Summit Ventures." There were dozens, each more desperate than the last. "Payment overdue. Final warning. Collateral required." I forwarded everything to Thomas, then started on the gambling sites. The numbers made me dizzy. Hundreds of thousands lost, loans taken out, payment plans defaulted on. A new email popped up. "Your account is now locked. Outstanding balance, $178,000. Payment required within 24 hours. My hands shook as I downloaded everything. In the background, I could hear Marley's voice in my head. "Get everything. Leave no stone unturned." A text from my burner phone. "He's losing big tonight. Already down 50K. Tomas." I worked faster, copying files, taking screenshots. Then I found it. A folder labeled Property Docs. Inside were forged papers, fake bank statements, and doctored photos of properties he claimed to own. "You won't believe what I just found," I texted Marley, attaching photos. "This is better than we hoped," she replied. "He's going down hard." Headlights swept across the house, a car pulling into the driveway. My heart stopped. "He's home!" I texted frantically. "Get out of there," Marley replied. I closed everything, put the laptop exactly as I'd found it, and barely made it to the kitchen before the front door opened. Cruz stumbled in, his usual grace gone. His eyes were wild, tie askew. "Helen," he slurred, "I need you to do something for me." "What's wrong?" I asked, noting his trembling hands. I need you to sign something, for the business." "Now? It's midnight." "Yes, now!" he snapped, then immediately softened. "Please, baby, it's important." I thought of the forged signatures I'd already discovered. "Can we do it tomorrow, when you're more yourself?" He slammed his fist on the counter, making me jump. "Why won't you just trust me?" "Cruz, you're scaring me." That seemed to wake him up. He ran his hands through his hair, composing himself. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm just stressed about work. Go to bed. We'll talk tomorrow." As I lay in bed later, listening to him pace downstairs, my phone lit up with messages. "Tomas. Documents secured. You won't believe what else I found." "Marley. Everything ready for the dinner?" Unknown number. "Tell Cruz his time is up. We're contacting his family." I smiled in the darkness. They could save themselves the trouble. In 3 days, at the annual family dinner, Cruz's carefully constructed world would crumble. And this time, not even Sebastian could save him. The morning of the family dinner dawned bright and cold. I'd barely slept, but adrenaline kept me moving as I prepared the house. Cruz was already up, making calls in his office, his voice carrying through the walls. "I don't care what it takes," he hissed into his phone. "Get me an extension." "No, you don't understand. My family can't know about this." The doorbell rang. Marley, arriving early as planned. "Everything ready?" she whispered, helping me with the table settings. I patted the manila envelope hidden in the sideboard. "All the evidence is here. Tomas is bringing the final documents tonight." Cruz emerged from his office, all smiles despite the dark circles under his eyes. "Marley, you're early." "Just helping my favorite sister," she said sweetly. I caught the steel in her voice. Great," he said distractedly, checking his phone. "Listen, Helen, I need to run out for a bit. Last-minute business thing." "Before the family dinner?" I asked. "Won't take long, promise." He kissed my cheek, his lips trembling slightly. The moment he left, Marley turned to me. "He's panicking." "Good," I said, straightening the silverware. "Let him squirm." My phone buzzed. A message from Harold. "Just saw Cruz at the bank. He looks desperate." Then another message from Sebastian. "Is everything all right with Cruz? He's not answering my calls." "They're all starting to see cracks," Marley observed, reading over my shoulder. The afternoon passed in a blur of preparation. Cruz returned looking worse than when he'd left, immediately disappearing into his office. I could hear him arguing in hushed tones. At 5, the doorbell rang again. Tomas stood there, briefcase in hand. "Final documents," he murmured, slipping me a folder, "including proof of the Atlantic City incident." Cruz appeared suddenly. "Thomas? What are you doing here?" "Helen asked me to join dinner," he said smoothly. "Hope that's okay." Before Cruz could respond, more guests arrived. Catherine hugged me tight, while Sebastian eyed his son with barely concealed concern. Allison bounced in with her usual energy, though it felt forced tonight. Harold arrived last, giving me a knowing look as he handed me a bottle of wine. As everyone settled in the living room, Cruz tried to maintain his usual charismatic host persona, but I could see him checking his phone every few minutes, sweat beading on his forehead. "Cruz!" Sebastian called out. "That development project you mentioned. How's it progressing?" "Ah, excellently," Cruz said, tugging at his collar. "In fact—" His phone rang. He glanced at it, face paling. "Excuse me," he muttered, practically running to his office. "Is everything okay?" Catherine asked me, concern evident in her voice. "It will be," I said, catching Marley's eye. "Dinner's ready, shall we?" As everyone moved to the dining room, Cruz returned, his composure clearly shaken. "Before we eat," he announced, forcing a smile, "I have exciting news about our latest venture." His phone buzzed again. This time, I saw the message preview. "Final warning. Pay now or we expose everything." Cruz's hands shook as he declined the call. "Actually," I said, standing up, "I have something to share first." "Helen," Cruz warned, but I was already walking to the sideboard. "You see," I continued, retrieving the manila envelope, "I've been doing some investing of my own lately." Cruz's face went from pale to ashen. "Would anyone like to see what I've discovered about our family's financial situation?" I asked, opening the envelope. "This isn't the time," Cruz said through gritted teeth. "It's exactly the time," I replied, laying out the first document, a bank statement showing massive transfers to Summit Ventures. Sebastian leaned forward, adjusting his glasses. "What is this?" "Evidence," I said simply, continuing to lay out papers. "Of fraud, gambling, and lies." "Helen, stop!" Cruz pleaded. "The lake house doesn't exist. The development project? A cover for gambling debts. Those business meetings?" I spread out the casino photos. "Well, see for yourselves." The room fell silent as everyone stared at the evidence. Catherine's hand flew to her mouth. Sebastian's face turned thunderous. Allison started crying quietly. Cruz's phone rang again. This time, when he looked at it, all the fight seemed to leave him. "How long have you known?" he whispered. "Long enough to protect myself," I replied, pulling out one final document. "Divorce papers. And long enough to ensure you can never do this to me again." The doorbell rang, cutting through the tension. Tomas stood up. "That would be the investigators," he said calmly. "They're very interested in discussing Atlantic City." Cruz looked wildly at his father. "Dad?" But Sebastian just shook his head, standing up. "Not this time, son. Not anymore." As voices filled the hallway, I sat down calmly and poured myself a glass of wine. "Dinner," I announced to the shocked faces around the table, "is served." The investigators were professional and direct, setting up in Cruz's office, while the family sat in stunned silence around the dining table. The sound of their questions drifted down the hallway. "When did the gambling begin, Mr. McCarthy?" "Who else was involved in the Atlantic City incident?" Catherine broke first, her wine glass trembling. "Sebastian, did you know about this?" "Not everything," Sebastian replied, his voice heavy. "I knew about Atlantic City. I thought I'd fixed it." "Fixed it?" Harold scoffed. "You enabled him, just like when he borrowed money from me." Allison stood up suddenly, mascara streaking her cheeks. "This is all lies. Helen's making this up because—" "Because what?" Marley cut in. "Because she didn't want to watch her husband gamble away their entire future? Show her the equity loan, Helen." I pulled out the document with my forged signature. Allison collapsed back into her chair. "The vacation house," Catherine whispered. "The business ventures? Everything was a lie?" "Not everything," I said, pulling up my trading app. "I've been making my own investments. Real ones. Small, but legitimate." Tomas nodded. "Helen's actually quite good at it, unlike someone who bet it all on red." A crash from the office made everyone jump. Cruz's voice rose, desperate and angry. "You don't understand. I was about to win it all back. One more week." The investigator's response was calm but firm. "Sir, you owe multiple casinos over $500,000. There is no winning it back." Catherine started crying softly. Sebastian put his arm around her. His face aged 10 years in one evening. "I trusted him with everything," I said, breaking the silence. "Our savings, our future, our life together. And he bet it all away." "Why didn't you tell us sooner?" Allison demanded. "Would you have believed me?" I asked. "You all saw what you wanted to see. The successful son, the perfect husband, the brilliant businessman." Harold reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how bad it was. Cruz appeared in the doorway, escorted by 2 investigators. His tie was loose, his confident facade completely shattered. "Helen," he pleaded, "we can fix this. I'll get help. I'll—" "Sign the divorce papers," I said quietly. "It's over." "Listen to me." He tried to step forward, but the investigators held him back. "Everything I did for us, to give you the life you deserved." "No!" I stood up, finally letting my anger show. "You did it for yourself, for your ego, for your addiction. I deserved the truth, and you couldn't even give me that." Sebastian stood up. "Son, how much do you owe? Maybe I can—" "No," I cut in. "No more enabling, no more covering up. He needs to face the consequences." "They're going to press charges," Cruz said, his voice breaking. "Dad, please." "I'm sorry," Sebastian replied, looking every bit his age. "Helen's right. This ends now." Catherine rushed from the room in tears, Allison following close behind. Harold watched them go, then turned to Cruz. "Remember when you said you'd pay me back? That it was just a temporary loan?" He shook his head. "I should have warned Helen then." "Mr. McCarthy," one of the investigators said, "we need to continue our discussion downtown." As they led Cruz away, he looked back one last time. "I really did love you, Helen." "No," I replied, my voice steady. "You loved the idea of me. The trusting wife who never questioned, never doubted. That person doesn't exist anymore." After Cruz left, Sebastian remained at the table, staring at the evidence spread before him. "I thought I was protecting him," he said quietly. "Instead, I made it worse." "You all did," Marley replied. "Except Helen. She protected herself." Tomas gathered the documents carefully. "The investigators will need copies of everything. Helen, are you ready to make a formal statement?" I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in months. "I'm ready for all of it." "What happens now?" Allison asked from the doorway, her makeup completely ruined. "Now?" I picked up my wineglass. "Now Cruz faces the consequences of his actions. The casinos want their money, the banks want answers, and I want a divorce." "And the family?" Catherine's voice was small. "That's up to you," I replied. "But I suggest you all take a long, hard look at how we got here, at how many red flags we ignored." Sebastian stood up slowly. "We should go. Helen, I'm sorry, for everything." As the family filed out, Marley and Tomas stayed behind, helping me clear the untouched dinner from the table. "You did it," Marley said, hugging me tight. "No," I corrected her, looking at the trading app on my phone, at the new life I'd built for myself. "We did it, and this is just the beginning." The morning sun streamed through my new apartment windows as I reviewed the final divorce settlement. Marley sat across from me, scanning her own copy. "They really took him for everything," she said, flipping through the pages. "The casinos got most of it," I replied. "But I got what matters, my freedom." My phone buzzed, a text from Catherine. "Having coffee downtown. Could we talk?" I showed Marley the message. "Are you ready for that?" she asked. "Might as well be." I grabbed my keys. "Want to come?" Catherine looked smaller somehow, sitting alone at the cafe table. The perfectly coiffed hair and designer clothes were gone, replaced by something simpler, more real. "Helen," she stood as we approached. "Thank you for coming." "How's Cruz?" Marley asked as we sat down. Catherine's hands tightened around her coffee cup. "The rehabilitation program seems to be helping. Sebastian's refusing to pay his gambling debts, so—" She trailed off. "Good," I said. "He needs to face this himself." "I keep thinking about all the signs I ignored," Catherine said quietly. "The late-night calls, the mood swings, the endless business opportunities. I wanted so badly to believe in him." "We all did," I replied. "That's how he got away with it for so long." My trading app pinged. Another successful investment. Catherine noticed the sound. Tomas tells me you're doing well with your portfolio. Small steps, but real ones. I showed her the numbers. No fake properties, no empty promises, just careful planning and honest work. I filed for divorce, Catherine said suddenly. From Sebastian. Marley and I exchanged surprised looks. Huh? After everything came out about Atlantic City, about how long he'd been covering for Cruz, she straightened her shoulders. I realized I'd been living with lies too. My phone buzzed again. A message from Thomas. Investment Group loved your presentation. They want you to lead the new project. Life has a way of revealing what's real, I said, showing Catherine the message. And what matters? Allison asked about you, Catherine ventured. She's struggling with everything. Tell her to call me when she's ready to hear the truth. All of it. The cafe door chimed. Harold walked in, spotted us, and headed over. Thought I might find you here, he said, pulling up a chair. Just came from the courthouse. Cruz's plea deal is final. Catherine flinched. How long? 18 months, plus mandatory counseling and restitution payments. Harold turned to me. You okay? I thought about the question. About the nights I'd spent crying, the moments of doubt, the fear of starting over, but also about the strength I'd found, the support I'd received, the life I'd built from the ashes of Cruz's lies. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm free. My phone lit up with another notification, this time from the real estate agent. The papers for my new condo were ready. Speaking of free, Marley grinned. When's the housewarming party? Next weekend, I said. Small gathering. Real friends only. Catherine's eyes welled up. I understand if I'm not. You're invited, I cut in. New beginnings, remember? Sebastian keeps asking if you'll drop the charges, she said hesitantly. Not a chance, Marley answered for me. Good, Catherine surprised us by saying. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. Harold raised his coffee cup. To lessons learned. As we clinked cups, I felt the last weight lift from my shoulders. Cruz had taken so much, but he'd failed to take what mattered most. My resilience, my self-worth, my ability to trust my own judgment. You know what's funny, I said, pulling up my investment portfolio. While Cruz was losing everything on red, I was building something real, something mine. To real things, Marley said, raising her cup again. And real people, Catherine added softly. My phone buzzed one final time. An email from Cruz's rehabilitation center. I deleted it without reading it. Ready to go? Marley asked. We've got a condo to furnish. As we stood to leave, Catherine touched my arm. Thank you, she said. Not just for meeting me, but for showing us all the truth, even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt, I corrected. That's when the truth matters most. Walking out into the sunlight, I felt the warmth on my face and smiled. Cruz had gambled everything on lies and lost. I had bet everything on the truth, and won more than I'd ever imagined possible. Coming, Marley called from ahead. Yeah, I said, catching up to my sister, my friend, my strongest supporter. I'm right where I need to be.